Good evening. Do you have any glittering memories? Times where you look back and they just sparkle. I do. More when I was younger, back in the days when videos were only on Friday nights and cable had not yet been run into my neighborhood. Well, I don't. Then, of course, you ask, what are they? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you about a time. The sparkle I'm going to reach back for comes from the blue vinyl of an inflatable boat. It's wrapped up in bungees, cradled by yellow-handled black paddles. You know the type. My parents got it when we lived near Lake Michigan, and I had adventures there in the lake and in ponds nearby. But this is a story from another time, after we'd moved from Ogden Dunes back to neighborhood. The blue vinyl sparkling boat would take us on a trip and keep my good friend Mike and I busy on a Saturday. In the summer, he was stuck working at his family laundromat during the week. And I had jobs with local farmers, mucking out stables, baling hay, chores around the house where I lived. This blue vinyl sparkling boat would keep us both out of our houses and away from chores and adulting. So we picked the Saturday, looked forward to it until it arrived, made a plan for how I would tie the boat and the oars down on my bike and ride over to his house so we could take our fateful trip down the DuPage River. The sunlight sparkling off the blue plastic already in our minds before we even begin. Now, the little DuPage River runs down here, and my house is right here. The little DuPage River runs into the DuPage River. Downtown Naperville was here. My friend Mike's house was here, and it was a quarter mile, maybe less. So the plan was to ride my bike up to his house, go down the DuPage River, and where the two rivers come together, get out, and just go to my house, and my parents could drive him home. So that was our plan. Yeah. As long as we were prepared, 4 to 6 hours down the river, rivers ideally at 6 to 7 feet at the river gauge, no problems. So we get to the Saturday, I grab the boat, I grab the oars, strap them onto my bike, and head down to his house. Get everything undone. Lay out the boat, because you got to do that before you're going to fill it with air. And we were both looking at each other. So we get to the ends, we squeeze those little plastic inflation points. His dad, this giant grizzly of a man, we can hear him laughing inside the house, comes down into the garage, turns on the air compressor, and drags the hose out and shows us how to fill it. So we squeeze the trigger and get all the compartments full. Now, this was no primitive trip we were going to take. We were going to be eating good. So we head inside next, make some ham sandwiches, make some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, take the saran wrap, wrap up about 6 Oreos, then about another 6 Oreos, a couple of sets of 6 Oreos. We're ready. Throw some carrots in there and some sodas, and we can head on down the river. It's all packed in the cooler. So we slide the paddles under the boat, and we carry it like a queen down 75th Street to get in where we can put the boat in the river. Now, we get to the river, and I hold on to the boat. Mike navigates himself in, going over the side, sits down, he's all dry. He's holding on to the side of the river. I get myself in, 2 dainty, dry explorers. And we're moving downstream until we're not. See, the boat started to drag. Our fannies are hitting rock bottom. And we look at each other. Mike and I, both with disgust in our eyes. because we got to get out. And now we have wet feet. You know what that's like when you have canvas sneakers, because that's what they were back in the day, and your socks are in there, and you're walking, and the sneakers get wet, and the socks get wet, and your toes start to get crinkled up with the socks, and you're just, oh, this is not comfortable. Squish, squish, squish. Let me get back in the boat. Deep enough to paddle, so we're gliding down. Sometimes we get out because there's rocks. Sometimes we get out because it just gets shallow, period. And then we hit the obstacle of the tree branches. We got to get over the tree. So we lift the boat up. We lift it over. And tumbling out comes the cooler into the water. Gets scooped up, tossed back in the boat. And we start going down the river once again. Wet feet, dampening attitude. We keep going until we get to our midway point where people put the canoes into the river. So Mike says, hey, we made it. Let's head over to the landing and eat. And I reply, that's a great idea. And we paddle over. Boat gets out. We get out. Flip open the cooler. You could tell it was a ham sandwich because there was a piece of ham. Everything else was kind of mush. The Oreos, the black and the white, they made sort of a gray paste because the cans in there, they had smacked around and broken everything up. Peanut butter was just mush. Now, the carrots were soggy, but, well, they still looked like carrots. So we eat in silence, scooping stuff. And then we switch. Mike was in the front on the way down. Now I'm in the front. And we keep going, glaring at each other. Who ruined our meal? And we don't really say much. And we're both sort of stuck in our own heads. So remember I said the little DuPage goes into the DuPage at the and we're going to get out? We kept going because that's what happens when you're not paying attention. Angry. Well, we're looking, we're seeing the roads, we notice what's going on, and we're like, do you know where, do you remember that? Shit. So we get out, get to the road, we're carrying the boat, and as we're heading down the road, a pickup truck comes by. One of the farmers that I had worked for goes past us. And, you pray for stuff like this to happen. And he pulls over to the side and he stops. We're moving before he can even ask us if we want to ride. The boat is in the bed of the truck with the mush and the paddles. We go around to get in and he just looks at us. And then we go climb in the bed of the truck too, because he wasn't going to let us sit inside his truck. One look at us, wet, tired, sunburned. The only thing we get is the back of the truck. So this ended up being a 9-hour tour. I have never been so glad I worked for farmers as I was on that day. But the day was filled. Adventure was had. The task got completed. It was a go for the day. And like Tom and Huck, it was an adventure.